genius. He's going to do much in his lifetime. I can feel it in his soul.
It wasn't easy growing up to be just 4 feet 6 inches tall, but I made do. My aunt from a very young age, I was still in diapers I presume, taught me how to read and write and appreciate poetry, and I loved every bit of it. A Catholic priest down the street taught me much about Greek and Latin, which was very useful when I went on to translate everything from Homer to Virgil. I loved this life, staying in my room, studying for hours at a time, reading and writing. Before I was even enrolled at school, I wrote my first poem, An Ode on Solitude, at 12 years old, and began making friends with such distinguished poets as John Dryden.
If you keep studying, you'll end up with a hunchback.
Well, your results are in, and gosh darn it, you have Pott's disease. You're gonna have a hunchback for the rest of your life.
Oh God, I have to live with this hunch forever.
Ew, gross. That's disgusting. Look at his hunch. I heard he's a Catholic too. Oh my God, that's so stupid. Oh, throw sticks at him.
Misunderstood. It wasn't easy getting the ladies, and I would often try to do so through writing poetry such as You know where you did despise. You know where you did despise, t'other day my little eyes, little legs and little thighs, and some things of little size. You know where. You, 'tis true, have fine black eyes, tapper legs and tempting thighs, yet what more than all we prize is a thing of little size. You know where. It was in 1715 that I bid a harsh farewell to London in my poem, A Farewell to London. I moved to the countryside in Twickenham.
Farewell, London. I hate you all you hypocrites and liars and critics. For the critic's purpose is to serve the author, and the author's purpose is to serve himself, not society, but to search and explore his own soul, and thus serve God who had given him that soul. Read my essay on criticism, I beg of you. But for now, I am off to Twickenham. Goodbye, London, and farewell.
In Twickenham, I was able to live a peaceful life with my parents, gardening and such, but I was still worried for my safety. The critics and enemies I've made in London required me to carry a guard dog with me and even a weapon on my nature walks. But I was able to be with myself. I was able to think and live in nature, and I began to think about human nature, and God and the universe, and what all it meant, and I began to put it all in perspective.
But how can one find true happiness? And me with this huncheth back and small stature. Oh. There must be some intermediary that allows happiness and soulfulness to flow through God and through I. But what is the link between humans and the gods? Oh, surely it is thy soul. For God has provided me with a soul, but not yet filled it. For it is my job to search and explore and find what lies within me, and that will fulfill my search for happiness. And then in heaven I shall be with God and find my supreme fulfillment. That is the way. That is the path. That is the pursuit of happiness.
Here, in Twickenham, surrounded by nature, Pope began to write about human nature, the soul, and happiness. Pope found that by being in touch with the inner soul and God, one obtained true happiness. Pope urged his fellow man to enjoy who they are and what they are.
It is I, Alexander Pope, who on this dreary day of May 30th, 1744, at the age of 56, do feel as if I'm about to utter my last words. There is nothing more virtuous than virtue and friendship. And friendship itself is only but the parts of virtue.
Alexander Pope, at the age of 56, dies on May 30th, 1744. A little before his death, he called for the desk and began an essay on the immortality of the soul and on those material things which tend to weaken or to strengthen it for immortality. His remains were, according to his wish, deposited in Twickenham Church, near his parents, where the single letter P On the stone alone distinguished the spot.
Frankly, the man's a genius. He was publishing poetry in his teenage years. Who else does that? And his use of the heroic couplet, it's amazing.
I tend to disagree. Pope's use of harsh satire gained him many enemies during his lifetime, and he was actually quite full of himself, but I suppose during a time of political turmoil and such, it's good to have a fellow who's willing to go against the social norms, and he did speak his mind, which is indeed a quality of a great writer.
I, for one, love Pope's poetry. His poem seems to follow a journey, a pursuit of happiness. Is that search not universal? Everything Pope writes relates back to this search.
To Alexander Pope.